So Disney isn't great. Marvel isn't great. I also think, to be quite honest, that even though Tarantino is often outspoken, I think really with this commentary, he was really being nice and he was trying to say in a nice way that Marvel movies suck. I think another very important Tarantino quote is, "My only axe to grind against them is they're the only things that seem to be made," he added. And the only things that seem to generate any kind of excitement amongst the fan base or even for the studio making them. That's what they're excited about. And so it's just the fact that they are the entire representation of this era of movies right now. There's not really much room for anything else. That's my problem. So Simu Liu, the Canadian actor, pushed back on Quentin Tarantino's comments about the marvelization of Hollywood. So fortunately or unfortunately, Scorsese joined him by stating that he felt like Marvel movies were more theme parks and not actual cinema. So is that fair? I don't know. He said word for word, "You have all these actors who have become famous playing these characters," Tarantino said. "But they're not movie stars, right? Captain America is a star or Thor is a star. I mean, I'm not the first person to say that. I think that's been said a zillion times, but it's like, it's these franchise characters that become a star." So I wanted to quote Simu Liu in one of his statements word for word. So this is from The Guardian. "So if the only gatekeepers to movie stardom came from Tarantino and Scorsese, I would never have had the opportunity to lead a 400 million plus movie. I'm in awe of their filmmaking genius. They are transcendent auteurs, but they don't get to point their nose at me or anyone," he tweeted. So I do want to interject that there's really like an elephant in the room, and the elephant in the room is Robert Downey Jr., who really pretty much like supercharged the MCU as far as movies, and he was already a household name, and that's why that really kind of jump started the Marvel universe in a really fantastic way with Iron Man. I would also add that if we also look at Wesley Snipes as well, that would be another really great actor that really catapulted the Marvel universe in an excellent direction. And I mention these because they didn't come up in any of the articles, but those were two actors that were great actors outside of Marvel. I think a superhero movie could potentially be cinema, depending on really the script, depending on the writer, depending on the director. I don't really think it depends on the actual part that it's based on a comic book. I don't think, to me, that would detract from it and make it not potentially like a great movie. I think, though, what happens is that maybe there's nostalgia for the halcyon times where there were less superhero movies. Maybe there's some of that going on. And then maybe also one could say maybe there's some jealousy. I don't know about the jealousy part, it's just something that I'm thinking. But at the same time, like for example, Scorsese, I think pretty much was a lot more straightforward and a lot less diplomatic than Tarantino was. So Simu Liu then goes on to riff a little bit about how, the golden age of Hollywood was so white. I think the main point that Tarantino is basically bringing up is that the movie actors that are created for Marvel movies are not classic actors. They're not actors that we have seen like a range of different roles that they're actually in. And on that note, I would say, yeah, I agree with that most of them, except for, a couple of the gentlemen that I mentioned in this video, a lot of them, we've only seen them for the bulk of their careers in Marvel movies. Is that good or is that bad? It's hard to say. And as far as the Canadian gentleman, yes, I think maybe potentially he's had more opportunities through Marvel, but he would also have other opportunities, for example, in the Asian market. So it's kind of tough to really pigeonhole this as black or white. So was the golden age, quote unquote, so white? Yeah, maybe. The golden age was pretty white. Yes, maybe there were also like minstrel characters, blackface, white actors pretending to be Chinese. Yeah, there was a lot of that during the golden age, but really, like, getting into that conversation is a whole nother conversation for another video, and that doesn't really address the specific comments about Marvel actors. In fact, it's just sort of like a segue, a non sequitur, really has nothing to do with the real argument. It's just taking us in another direction that's really not on, I would say, par, or really it has nothing to do with the original commentary in which Tarantino is decrying some of the Marvel aspects to the new quote-unquote Hollywood. Of course, Tarantino's not solely influenced by the golden age. And the interesting thing, or the brand new thing I want to bring to the conversation, is that the first thing I thought about when I thought about Quentin Tarantino in the whole conversation is actually the influence of quote-unquote chop suey or Hong Kong Chinese movies, and movies directed by like John Woo, like movies like Hard Boiled Cop, because not only Chinese movies but also Japanese movies had a great influence on Tarantino. And so to have a conversation where most people are just kind of talking about the golden age of movie making, or it's just solely like that the Marvelization is kind of like taking down a notch on movie making, that may be the case, but I just wanted to inject that if Quentin Tarantino gets really transparent, his influences come from all over. So just take a look at this scene briefly and you'll get what I mean. It's just clear as day. This kind of stuff was replicated in Tarantino movies over and over. So, for example, what is it that I wanted to pinpoint specifically? If you look at Hard Boiled Cop yourself, and it's a good movie, it's one of John Woo's older movies from, I don't know, about 25, 30 years, even longer ago. If you look at it, it's almost like choreographed violence, but it's to the point that they make it look beautiful. This is beautiful. Can't really describe it. It's not just pure gore. It's completely choreographed, like it's dancing. That's the only way to really, dancing or like the martial arts connection. It's really just beautiful when you watch it. So if you like what you heard, subscribe, share, check out An Open Letter, share that one. Have a good one.